Everyone is doing great tonight. We have a $5 donation from Failed Uplink who says, Medieval Run has been great. Here's to getting that Oddworld incentive. That's right. Mr. CLFN, Mr. Colfin, sends $25 and says, I have legit always wanted a proper Wacky Races kart racer. I honestly don't know why it doesn't already exist. I know, right? It's Wacky Races. It's in the name. Anyway, speaking of wacky, up next we have a shmup with probably the greatest title ever. It's Moochie Moochie Pork with Aquas. Let's go, Aquas.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, what's up, everyone? It's me, Aquas, and it'll be my pleasure to bring you Moochie Moochie Pork. This will be the 1.01 version. This game was originally released in arcades in 2007, and then I'll be playing the Xbox 360 port released in 2011 with the 1.01 version. So this is a console-exclusive updated version of the game. The 1.0 version was the only one that was in arcades, and this is going to feature a more lenient power-up system, which the guys will go into here. My commentators are joining me, and those are Icarus and Soft Drink. So introduce yourself, if you will.
Sure. I am Soft Drink 117. I've been a fan of this game for many years, and not quite as skilled at it as Aquas here, but I think I know enough to get by. And Icarus?
Hey, yes, it's Icarus here, long-time Shmups community member. I'm a huge fan of this game, and hopefully I'll be able to apply some of my Rising knowledge as well to this, which we'll go into in a little bit.
So just one more thing I think I'll just preface here before I jump in here is to say that I will be playing Hara Hara mode, and this is a selectable mode that was available even on the arcade game. I think it was by holding up when you put a credit in and pressing start, or one of the directions anyway. And this mode starts you in the second loop. So the game comprises 2 playthroughs, similar to a Ghouls and Ghosts game, for example. The second loop here, Hara Hara, is going to be very intense and non-stop action the whole way through, and there won't be much breathing time. And so I'll be focusing on the run, and I'm going to let Icarus and Soft Drink give you guys some great commentary.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, so at this point, I will go into the character select screen, and I'll just leave it to you guys. And then once Momo, the character I'll be using, Moochie Moochie Pink, when she waves to the screen, that's when time's going to start.
Sounds good.
And I'll announce it as well. All right, so I'm going to change my headphones here. Have fun, guys.
Oh, yeah. With this game, always.
Can we go over the basics of the game to start with?
Yeah, why not? So there's a couple different weapons that the character has and a bomb. So there's a main shot, sort of like a rapid fire wide shot, so to speak, and a secondary fire called the lard shot. And if you the lard shot relies on the lard meter, which you build up by collecting pigs from the environment. When you have no lard in your lard meter, instead you fire a narrow piercing shot, and that piercing shot will actually produce extra pigs for extra lard generation when you defeat enemies with it. We're about to hit character select screen here, so I'll just let Aquas count it in when he's ready.
Yep.
He cannot, but he said he would count it in, I think.
3, 2, 1, go.
There we go.
There we go.
So the character he's choosing here, Momo, is sort of an intermediate character. She's not the fastest or the strongest, but she's an all-rounder. And most notably, her large shot is this very, very wide beam, and it does not go the full height of the screen. So he's going to use that in a couple places for some specific tricks. Now here, by very aggressively moving up, this big wide pink beam he's using, that's the lard beam. And the lard beam, when you destroy enemies with it, has a couple different effects. When you destroy airborne enemies, it produces these metals. They're very hard to see right now, but there's these little pink pig heads that are falling down the screen, and he's vacuuming them in. Every time he collects one of those, the point value of them will increase. here on this train, he's using that bomb and then destroying some of the train cars with lard to gain extra P items. The P items increases shot power. So that's a trick that he developed to get to max shot power, ideally before the first mid-boss. So now here you can see the value of those pick heads has already gone up to 8,000. Started at 100 and will max out at 10,000. There you go. There's the max. And by alternating between shot and lard, you're able to collect the pigs, which build up your lard meter, and then cash out by using the lard to destroy enemies. And those drop those metal, those creepers you mentioned. Now watch this here. He's going to try to set up for a point-blank quick kill here. Going to sit right on top of this, and please time it right. Ah, not quite. Okay, little bit out of position there. It's a really, really risky trick, but he's still got a nice big cancel out of it. Very good. So the trick there is when you defeat that mid-boss, all the bullets that are on the screen will cancel into those point items. And you want to time it just right so that you're destroying it right as it has the maximum number of bullets on the screen. That's something you're going to see as a recurring pattern during this run, is timing out the kill on some of these enemies in order to maximize point gain.
Yeah, there's a lot of meter management in this as well. You can see he's actually using his shot to generate a lot of pigs here and there, and then he's going to try and time his laser usage so that he actually maximizes the amount of medals he gets. You get an extra life every 10 million points, so he wants to try and score as efficiently as possible, both through the stage and on the bosses themselves here. Bosses in this game as well have a lot of destructible parts, and when you use your large shot on them, they generate medals, so he wants to try and do that to every piece that he can do.
This trick he's doing right here is quite challenging to do effectively because there's a small delay before your large shot activates. So kind of pressing it and then releasing it, pressing it, releasing it, pressing it, releasing it like that actually is very dangerous because your character can be hit by enemies in that section. It was a little hard to see, but the boss was spawning some small drones there. So he did that just to get some extra medals out of it. As you can see from this boss fight alone, he's already made about 2 million points and gotten the first extend, the first extra life. And over the course of this run, his goal is to get about 200 million points. So we'll see him getting about 20 extra lives, which is why, even though he died a couple times, it's not a very big deal so far.
Yeah.
He is playing a little bit more conservatively so far against this boss. Oh, okay. Yeah, good bomb there. One thing that's really hard to notice there is these little seeds that the boss was dropping explode into a radius, like a ring of bullets that can hit you.
Yeah, the other thing about the bosses as well is that since they've got destructible parts, the more pieces you destroy, the angrier the boss gets. You can see this green spray pattern actually gets more dense as you destroy more turrets. Ideally, he wants to destroy every part on the boss so that the boss fires... Yep, so that the boss fires as many bullets as possible so that when he comes to destroy it for the cancel, he gets the maximum amount of points here.
He's going for it right now? Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Nicely done. He's a little bit behind on score here, but I think he should be able to make it up as he goes through the next stage.
Yeah, I think so. So his score split for stage 1 is 20 million, and that death against the first mid-boss put him a little bit behind, but he should be okay in terms of resources, and I think he can turn it around.
Yeah, so most of the stages generally just feature him trying to score efficiently to get his lives back up, because the general flow of this game is maximize your lives before the boss, and then when you get to the boss, suicide all your lives to generate bombs for points, and then it's just repeating that cycle over and over again. Obviously, that's a lot of risk involved in that, because a single mistake you make will actually impact both your score and possibly the rest of the credit as well.
Indeed. One thing to note right here also is some of the enemies will fire back when they're destroyed. And the most obvious example of this in this particular stage is these water tanks. When he destroys these water towers, they shoot these huge rings of bullets that clog up the screen. Right there, what he just did was what's called a partial bomb. So in this game, you build up bombs in small fragments. You can see these little rotating B icons on the ground sometimes. Collecting those fills up the bomb gauge, which is just above the lard gauge in the bottom left corner of the screen. And if there's even a tiny bit of bomb energy in that gauge, then you can still activate the bomb, and it won't cause a large kind of bomb effect to happen. It won't damage things, but it will give you some iframes that you can use to move through particularly difficult attacks.
Yep.
He's going to exploit that right here against this mid-boss.
Yep. He's going to try and cancel this pattern here, which actually gets a lot more difficult as the game's dynamic difficulty increases.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So that right there, that effect that kind of cleared out some bullets was the partial bomb.
Yeah.
So
this section is... Yeah, I was going to say, this section is really nasty as well, because these blimps actually fire these lines of bullets, whereas in the first loop difficulty they don't. So you can see he's actually trying not to get walled in here.
Yeah, and that's one huge advantage of playing with Momo is she's able to, the width of her large shot is such that she's able to destroy some of these blimps from the side without needing to be directly in the line. This enemy is really dangerous, and normally I see him use a bomb here, so nicely handled. That section can be very, very overwhelming.
Yeah, done that really well here. There's a pretty nice little scoring section coming up here, so he wants to try and get as much large power as possible here. So lots of planes coming up here. It's worth
Really
quite a lot
nice.
as well.
Really nice movement there. So what he was able to do there is, since all those enemies were aiming directly at him, by very slightly moving in small taps, he's able to control where they're all firing. Even though there's a ton of bullets on the screen, by just restricting his movement very carefully, he wasn't actually in that much risk.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's bad. So he wanted to have, he wanted to destroy that silo with lard there because it would release extra pigs, and the pigs would fill up his lard meter again, so he could point blank these. Oh man, this pattern is so nasty.
He's got the recovery there.
Nice, nice. Those I call them taco salad bullets. They're really hard to visually parse.
Yeah. Again, with this boss as well, lots of destructible parts. He wants to destroy all the turrets for points here. The patterns are really nasty, though, as you can see. It's completely random as well, so you can't handle them in the same way every time.
He's got a really nice strategy here for point blanking this big turret. Oh! Okay, he didn't quite pull it off there. It's all right. Still got plenty of resources.
Yep. Should be here.
So the boss is going to pull out some big turrets in a second. They're going to shoot out these big rings, and this pattern is actually a lot easier to dodge than it looks like it is. It's just the bullets are so visually confusing.
Yeah. Picked off one side there. Got one more to do, I think.
And going for the metal cancel there. Yeah, nice. Using the bomb for safety, but also one thing we haven't really mentioned yet is that you do get a small point bonus if you collect a pig when you're already at max lard. Or similarly, if you collect a P item when you're already at max power. And since you can bomb to generate both P items and pigs, and the bomb also gives you iframes, there's a couple situations in some of these boss fights where we may see him stall out the boss fight and use these bombs to cancel a bunch of bullets into pigs and or power-up items, just for a little bit of extra scoreboard.
Yeah, that was a good cancel as well, though. That last pattern on that stage 2 boss can be very difficult if you handle it at the bottom of the screen, but he sits on top of it. A lot of turrets actually fire like proper turrets. They don't have holes on the body which shoot, so you can actually manipulate safe spots that way by sitting on top of specific cannons and so on and so forth. It doesn't work on all bosses, but there are some that you can actually do that on.
Yeah, there's a really cool trick we'll hopefully see against the stage 4 boss that exploits that to the fullest.
Yeah.
This section coming up is really tricky. There's going to be some big planes that start flying in from the sides of the screen, and he's going to want to prioritize taking those out as quickly as possible with his large shot, because if he doesn't, they're going to clog things up. So here's the first one right here. Nice. Perfect. Now again, he's got to be careful with his movement, because there's more of those water towers that will fire huge rings of revenge bullets.
Yeah.
Another one of these big helicopters.
And a lot of the small helicopters as well are randomly positioned as well, so again, you have to be very alert to where most of them are spawning from, otherwise you can actually get trapped by bullets here.
And again, just worth reiterating, there is a small delay between when you press the button to fire your lard beam and when the lard beam actually comes out. So you have to be really careful in some of these sections not to get physically run into by an enemy or by a projectile. Especially since some projectiles are destructible, but they can still interfere with you there. All right, so coming up on the mid-boss here, ideally what he wants to do, and I don't know if he's going to go for it right now because he's a little bit behind, he wants to cancel one of these patterns. Okay, yeah, he didn't quite go for it there because he doesn't have the resources right now.
Yeah, he hasn't got the...
Nice.
That's still good enough though, yeah.
Yeah, that was still a really good cancel.
Well.
And he got
the extend as well. Yeah,
so to get that extend in this mode or in the second loop of the arcade game, you have to defeat that mid-boss with the active lard beam. But in the first loop of the original arcade game, you have to defeat that mid-boss with an empty lard beam. Just to screw with you a little bit when you play this game. So this section coming up is really challenging. There's going to be some very large helicopters And not only do they just flood the screen with these big walls, but they also fire, if you let them live long enough, they fire bombs down onto the ground that will explode into small green explosions that are under all the other sprite layers, and those explosions can still kill you. So it is extremely important that he prioritizes taking out these big helicopters as soon as he can.
Yeah, you can see his movement here. He's trying to lead the bullets into the corner, and then he does a little cut into the bullet pattern to try and create a gap. He's going to do that a lot to actually try and give himself some space to work with, because again, as we mentioned, a lot of the bullet patterns are aimed at you. So if you just learn to lead them rather than flailing around the screen, you should be able to create little gaps to breathe in.
Yep.
That's a bomb there as well. Actually made it through that section. That section can be very dangerous for a lot of people and take like 2 or 3 lives, but he's actually coming up to the 3rd boss with 5 lives in reserve, which is quite nice for resources.
Yeah, so one thing he was able to do there is self-destruct, so to speak. I mean, he knew he was going to die, and so he did it at a time that was convenient for him so that he could use the fact that you get 2 extra bombs when you respawn, and then use those bombs to get himself through the rest of that difficult section. That's something that he had mentioned to me in his routing for this part of the game, because this stage is so difficult towards the end here when it has all those, there's so much on the screen at once.
Yeah, in this game shares a lot in common with Rising style shmups, which feature a lot of suiciding. So you're going to be seeing him basically killing himself for the extra bombs, like at quite frequent times, like he's been doing on bosses. It's generally a good idea to do that because hoarding lives is not really a good idea in terms of scoring in games like this.
Definitely.
That was a nice cancel.
Yeah, that was very good. Very good first phase. So this boss can be really mean. This attack in particular is very, very challenging to dodge. He has to do this pretty much all in reaction. So his strategy is to wait for it to fire, then look to see if he's lined up, like if he has to move or not, and then try to very quickly tuck over if he does need to move into one of those little gaps.
Let's see if he actually goes for the milking pattern here, where he actually destroys both turrets on one side and then cancels. It's actually quite risky that because the green 5-way pattern can actually overlap in ways that make it difficult to avoid. He's going for that back one there.
Yeah. So he's using 2 bombs here.
Points. Yeah, you get quite a lot of points for bombing those patterns as well, as you can see.
Yeah, so every bullet that the bomb cancels is used to generate a pig. And if you collect the pig when you already have a full lard meter, then those are instead converted into 1,000 points each. So it's not quite scoring at the same rate as it would be if they were all converted into point medals, but it's still a tremendous amount of points over the course of a full boss fight.
Yeah.
But it is quite dangerous to do because you have to use up your bombs and your lives as a resource in order to gain those points back. So it's really a nice interplay of like risk-reward at the high level. Uh-oh, this is a little risky here. Is he gonna go for the cancel? Come on.
Oh, no.
Okay, this is a little scary. He did not want to blow up the 3rd one of those engines there. It makes it much more difficult to dodge in that sort of noodle section where they make the walls around him and then wiggle back and forth.
I think he should be all right on damage here, though.
Yeah, I think he's going to get it right here. Come on. Come on.
Behave.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he got it. Nice.
Nice. Oh, he's happy about that.
Yeah, well done. That can be very scary, that pattern, actually, especially if you destroy more than like 2 turrets.
Yeah.
As you can see, the green 5-way overlaps in really horrible ways, and especially if you've got one turret still alive, which is firing aimed bullets at you, which makes you dodging that pattern even worse.
Oh, it's brutal. So from this point on, the game just pulls no punches. Everything from stage 4 on is just going to be really hard all the time. But there's a couple spots in particular that we're going to call out. The opening of stage 4 is a little bit of a breather, but it's definitely a deceptive section because if you make a mistake here, it is really, really bad for you for score. Since these big windmills here will drop point medals, and it is not really possible to build your point medal value back up in this section. So it's really important that you not make a mistake right here. You not drop a medal, you not die if you're playing for score.
Yeah, you can see he's trying to destroy windmills and also lead the bullets around to give them gaps as well, and also vacuum all of those medals in as well, which is quite a lot of things to actually think about in a shoot 'em up. Yeah, he's actually handled that quite well. Yeah, this definitely being one of the first of the 2 extremely long but also extremely high scoring stages.
Okay, that's a bummer.
Yeah. One thing to also note here is that the game's dynamic difficulty is currently maximum, which means that it won't get any harder, but it's not going to get any easier either.
It basically wouldn't.
No.
Ooh.
Oh, has he
Okay.
rescued it?
Did he? Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah, you
good.
got it. Whew. Yeah.
So what happens there is, if one of those point metals falls off the bottom edge of the screen, then it will divide the current value by 10. So it would go from 10,000 back to 1,000, and you'd have to build it back up to 10,000. Obviously, when you're playing
Yeah.
for score, that's really bad. Here against this mid-boss, using a bomb and point blanking to try to take out the little turret on top of it right away, because it's just super dangerous. Nicely handled there.
Got it there. And that's going to fire.
And probably just going
this
for a cancel
pattern.
right away here. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
You can
Clean.
technically set up a slightly more optimal setup of that pattern for a little bit of a better cancel, but it's so dangerous to do, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Just
Sure. So one thing here, you may notice that some of these enemies are dropping medals without him using a large shot on them. There's also a secondary mechanic in this game where,
No. Don't want to use that yet.
uh-oh,
Come on.
got trapped there and had to
that's
use the
okay
bomb.
though. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, he's still on good track overall.
This is okay.
But there's a secondary mechanic in this game where, in addition to the medals that are generated from the large shot, every time you kill a certain number of enemies, and it's a pretty large number, I think like 30 or something, they will also just periodically drop medals. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, except that it can really screw you up if you're used to a particular, controlled medal drop from your use of the large shot. So
Yeah.
by switching to the large shot temporarily, you're able to vacuum in medals to your player character. But the consequence of that is that even that action, even if the large shot does not actually come out, it still consumes your large meter. So it can leave you in a bad situation if you're not paying careful attention to your meter management.
Yeah. You can see he's trying to point blank with the large shot as well, because the large shot actually has higher damage at close range. So he's going to try and, risk
Ooh,
getting up in
alright.
enemies' faces to try and destroy them quicker. That might be okay. Yeah, he's got a bomb here. He's going to
Yeah,
try and
that'll be
destroy one side here and then cancel the biggest pattern coming up on
Yeah,
this
he definitely wants
mid-boss.
to cancel the big pattern right here. To the end
Get
second
it?
now. It kills really, it goes down really fast.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there you go. There you go.
Nice. Yeah.
Now coming up, this is one of the hardest but also most interesting parts of the entire game. It's super fun, but really dangerous. There's all these planes that dive bomb you from the top, and you have to weave between them while also managing your meter and trying to cash in on all these cancels. Good bomb there to build up
Yeah.
more meter again. But he's losing out on a little bit of score.
Yeah, it's an interesting property of these stages as well, in that they're actually a fixed length. So if he had left that mid-boss alive for a bit longer, he would actually get less bombers here. And some players actually intentionally do that to try and make this section a little bit easier. As you can see, it floods you with a lot of bullets and a lot of enemies. But obviously, when you're playing for score, you want to try and destroy that mid-boss as quickly as possible so you get the maximum amount of bombers appearing. And this section is really horrible because there's a lot of tanks that fire aim bullets here, and he's got to try and create as many gaps in the bullet pattern as possible while being as efficient as possible in destroying them.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that this section also there is much less slowdown in the console port than there is on the original arcade release. So it's one of the sections of the game that is much more difficult on the console than on the original hardware.
Yeah.
Very nicely handled so far, though.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
that-
getting walled in here and there,
Yeah.
but I think he's handling it all right.
That bomb is a little bit premature. This section coming
Yeah.
up with these
No,
capsules.
no.
Oh, I think medals just went flying off the screen there.
Metal drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You see now the metal value is down to 1,000, and the next metal he collects is going to be 2,000, then 3,000, and so on until it gets back up to 10,000. That happened because one of those 10,000 point medals fell off the bottom when he died there.
Yeah.
Now that
He's
section there with
looking-
those capsules is super dangerous because those capsules, when you destroy them, they will fire revenge bullets towards you in sort of a three-way pattern, and they really wall you off.
Yeah.
Now we're coming
He's
up
looking
on,
a little light on resources, I think.
yeah. I'm a little worried because this is probably the hardest boss in the whole game. And
Yeah, this is generally the wall of the game. This boss has some
Absolutely.
really horrible patterns and will trap
Absolutely.
you quite a lot.
he is pretty well set up for the first phase at least. So what we're probably going to
Yeah.
see is the boss is going to come in from the lower right side, and he's going to camp on it right there and point blank both of those back turrets. Nice.
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 Got the life. Yep.
So now the movement of this boss from side to side is very erratic. One of the things he's going to try to do is do a lot of these sort of around the world dodges around these emitters from the wheels. And that really helps misdirect them in a way that lets you move through them. And then it's going to do these lines down and then another set of wheels. And then he's going to try to cancel when it does the lines again, the green lines down the center.
You can see he's trying to control the amount of damage he's doing to the boss as well. The thing about the games that are developed like this is that they don't actually have a life bar because they have dynamic difficulty. So you kind of have to feel for when the boss has help, and that was unlucky.
He just
that was
barely
unlucky.
missed it there. Yeah, he just, if he'd done a little tiny bit more damage to it or had a little tiny bit more lard, it would have been fine. That's one of the things that's hard about this. Like Chris was just saying, the difficulty is dynamic, the amount of boss health is dynamic, and so you have to really get an intuitive feel for how much damage you're doing, how much health the boss has left. It can lead to situations like that where you're expecting a cancel and you just don't quite get it.
Yeah, it does really throw your strategies off.
Maybe.
Boss is giving him a nice pattern here, though. This is actually considerably more easier to avoid than the green random waves. This one.
Yeah.
It's a smaller cancel. However, as you can see, when you destroy the boss form, it still fires at you, which is really nasty.
And then this last phase, what he's going to try
Here
to
we
do
go.
is get right up on top of that turret. And like we were saying earlier, because the turret does have like a dimensionality to it, you can misdirect it. You can even make it do a full circle around the top.
Yeah.
Okay, that was
See, he's going to...
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's actually being somewhat friendly to him here because it's moving down the screen, which allows him to actually go over the bullets, the green bullets.
So normally he'd be trying to set up for either a bomb milk right there or a cancel, but since he doesn't have the resources for either of those things to be particularly safe, I think he's just going to try to... Okay, now he's probably going to try to go for a cancel here. Nice.
Okay.
There you
cool.
go.
Huge cancel.
Yeah, that was big.
Juicy cancel. That was well handled. That boss can be very scary, especially for beginners.
Absolutely. And he's back on pace now. So his score split for stage 4 was somewhere between 120 and 150 million points. And he's right on target there with 127 right now.
Yeah, it's looking good at the moment. I think he should be able to get back to maximum lives throughout the first half of stage 5, as long as he doesn't make any major mistakes, which I very much doubt he'll do.
Yeah.
He
Having
should
said
be
that,
good here.
stage 5's a doozy.
It's yeah. There's some fun sections in this one.
Nice. Even just that can be pretty tricky to handle that one. All right, here are the sausage lasers, the most infamous part of stage 5. These things are so incredibly mean. They clog up the screen and wall you off in ways you would not believe, and they come out really fast and really aggressively.
Yeah.
You handle the first set of them really nicely, but they'll be a recurring threat throughout the stage.
Yeah. Lots and lots of tanks as well.
Yeah.
There's a full bomb item there as well, which you'll grab. There we
Yep,
go.
you got it.
That's
And
the,
he actually
that's
used
the
the bomb
only
for that.
instance. Yeah.
And
That's the only
an
instance of
optional,
a full bomb as well.
right, and that's an optional pickup. You can only uncover that if you destroy that particular satellite dish with the large shot instead of with the main shot.
Yes.
Now, coming up in just a second, we're going to see some of those big helicopters from stage 3 come back. And just like before, it's super important that you prioritize taking them out right away, or they're just going to wall you off. There's the first one right there. Okay, good bomb.
Scary.
Just get rid of that. Get out of there. You don't want to be over there. Oh, he's actually setting up for score. That was nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
he's
actually did
setting
that as a nice little cancel
There we
there.
go. Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
He's got the second one. Nicely done. Very nicely done. Some more lasers here. There's a third one coming in.
Third
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
those ones
Good.
do appear in a set pattern, so as long as you're aware of where they're coming from, you can set up for them, like he
Yeah.
did there. Yeah. These satellite dishes are nasty as well, because on second loop difficulty, they fire off this spiral of bullets. As you can see, they clog up the screen completely. Especially when you've got all sorts of other things firing at you at the same time, which can be very dangerous. He is actually using partial bombs here and there to try and cancel, like, halfway through that.
It's all right.
Ooh,
Okay.
tricky. That's safe, that's alright.
Yeah, it's all right.
Throw that out.
He's doing alright, yeah.
Coming up on the first stage 5 mid boss. This is a very challenging fight at this difficulty. Yeah, we're probably going to see a couple bombs here.
Yeah. He's going for the quick damage here, and then he's going to try and set up for the cancel here. You got it. Nice.
Nice.
got here. But the side tanks still fire at you while the main body is being destroyed, but they're worth points as well.
Yeah. So one thing that Aquas has to deal with, since his strategy is to quick kill that mid boss, is he gets more of these bonus enemies. Like Icarus was saying earlier, the stages are a fixed length, so if you kill the mid bosses early, the stage has to catch up, so to speak, and it will generate a bunch of extra enemies. That produces some really, really challenging sections like this, where
Yeah.
there's kind of no way to consistently do this without using resources. So, having a death there, using bombs there, it's all really part of the route, part of the bargain you make when you start playing this game is accepting the fact that there's so much randomness that you're never going to have a perfect run.
Yeah.
You're always improvising a little bit, and that's part of what makes it so much fun.
Yeah. Second mid boss coming up here. He's going to try and do a speed kill here. He's going to point blank with the large shot to do as much damage as possible. Right here. Hopefully he gets it.
Come on.
He's getting it. Nice. There we go. Good.
There
cancel.
you go.
Good cancel. It's a good setup he's got for that as well, by point blanking with main shot and then point blanking with Lord to do as much damage as possible. And again,
Yeah, although-
you're going to have extra enemies here as well because of that.
Yeah. So as you can see, the screen's just totally flooded with bullets. And this section, I believe the order that these big helicopters show up is actually randomized. So I don't
Yes, it
think
is.
that you can produce a consistent strategy for that.
No, you have to react to where they're positioned on screen. It's very difficult, that. This section is a little bit of a breather, actually, since there's not as many enemies. You do have to watch out for these turrets that pop up though, via these spears.
Yeah.
But they're worth a lot if you've got the resources for them. He's actually prioritizing the helicopters though, since you actually get a little bit more out of those than you do from the turrets. And they turtle as well, those turrets, when you get close, so you can't always go up to them to try and damage them quickly. You've got to hang back. Yeah, he's doing all right here.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Nice. He's actually approaching maximum lives again, so he's actually handled this first half really well. It's going to get very scary coming up now, though, with the second half of this stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now he's going to set up here a little carefully, leaving some of these enemies alive, just so he can build up some extra lard and use it in an upcoming section. So right there, he built up some extra lard, and now he's going to try to time the kill on that big tank there. Nice. And still have a little bit left over, so he can also lard the second one. Ooh, just
missed it.
Wait. Nice.
Look
He still
at it.
got it.
Nice.
Very nice. Nice recovery there.
Nice. Yeah. He's
He's at
approaching
179
tank hell.
million. Oh, yeah. This.
Yep.
Oh,
Tank
this.
hell.
He's stretching.
Yeah, this is essentially a much harder version of the second half of stage 4. Like, just tanks everywhere firing bullets at you, lots of helicopters. You can see just how crazy it's going to get now. Movement has to be spot on here.
And it's also really important that you very aggressively take out a lot of the larger enemies, like these bigger helicopters. If you let them live for too long, they'll just clog the screen up. So, again, partial bombs being incredibly valuable here to let him move through some of these walls. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that was intentional, though.
It doesn't matter too much right here, fortunately. So,
As long as he doesn't drop his medals, he should be good.
he's still in very
Yeah,
good
it looks
shape.
like he's... Yeah.
Even if he just has to resort to...
Oh no, medals!
Oh,
I'll build them back up.
never mind. Yeah, he can rebuild them here pretty easily, though, these tanks. He's actually got a good strategy for this here.
Yeah, he's already back up at 6, 7,
Yeah.
probably 8.
I think he's got enough resources for the last boss as well, so he should be fine, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
At least
he's gonna
assuming
probably
no,
try and
no serious, knock on wood.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to try and, draw this little section out, because these helicopters respawn infinitely as long as you don't destroy that portrait in the background. So, as we mentioned before, the large shot doesn't actually stretch the entire height of the screen, so you can actually sit at the very bottom to destroy the helicopters with the large shot while making sure they doesn't do that much damage.
But obviously, the longer you wait on this, the more of these helicopters that spawn, the more dangerous it gets.
Yeah,
And you
they
do
get
wanna
very aggressive
start-
as well.
You do want to start saving some of those resources for the final boss, because he's not a pushover by any means.
Yeah, the last boss is really horrible, especially at the maximum difficulty. Regenerating some lard meter, and he's going to try and milk a little bit out. He should hopefully have 4 lives coming into the last boss, which
Yeah,
is
I think
more
that's
than
gonna.
enough.
There you go. That brought him to 190. Very nice.
Nice. try and bomb here.
Oh,
He's got a bomb.
okay, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, that's just bad luck there. I mean, those helicopters come down
Okay.
at randomized positions, so there's
Okay, I gotta end this.
Yeah, you should probably just get rid of those helicopters before anything else happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
he's going to probably use a bomb here because the boss's first attack is to flood the screen with these really wide arcs. Yeah, there you go. Good bomb.
There is a position he can sit here to actually avoid most of that. Is he gonna get it though? Yes, he does.
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice. This is gonna be tricky to start with though, since he's got no bombs for the first phase, which is quite difficult to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Here we go.
point blanking with
There's
Lard to do some extra
yeah.
damage.
Yeah. Again, point blank with the Lord does like extra damage compared to being further back, so he's going to try and do as much as possible, but that pattern is
That pattern.
almost completely random.
It is so hard to dodge.
Got the
doesn't-
cancel though.
Yeah, nice cancel on the end there.
Yeah.
Second phase
Income.
starts out much easier, but it's going to get.
What?
Oh, what?
The difficulty,
Yeah, so that's
really.
so those
yeah.
those missiles are destructible, but the amount of health that they have is proportionate to the current dynamic difficulty. And if it's high enough, even if you're shooting directly at them, sometimes they can still get through.
Yeah.
And then this pattern is just
I need this.
completely insane. There is no consistent way to get through this.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
low.
Okay.
Yeesh.
All right, so there's a safe spot in the corners here if you sit up and next to the boss.
Yeah.
It is technically possible for it to move in a way that will kill you if you're up here, but it's extraordinarily unlikely.
Yeah. I think you
Nice.
should be all right to get an extra life here, though.
I hope so. I really hope so. Yeah, and bomb
Go
through
for
this
the kill,
attack.
though.
This attack is
I have to kill it.
actually
Yeah, just
not
go for the
fair.
kill. Go for
Yeah.
the kill.
Tough.
Yeah.
No miss last phase. Come on.
Oh man. Oh
I
man.
think he can, though. I think he can, though.
He can. It's just. Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
No.
Nice macro.
My goodness.
Oh man, nice.
Yeah, so the order of attack patterns on this boss is fixed. However, the positioning is always random, so you have to
God.
react to where he is.
Okay,
like
nice.
here.
Nice.
Yeah.
But again, it's just very small taps because everything's aimed straight at him. Just tapping a very small amount to get just barely out of the way. And again,
Yeah.
macroing around this. You don't want to try to dodge through this. It is possible, but it's hard to set it up.
Yeah. It's nice that the boss is actually being in the middle of the screen for that pattern, because if it's at the top, there's no way you can macro around that.
Yeah, or if he decides to do it in the corner, you're just screwed.
Yeah, you're dead. Oh,
Really, really nice screen control from Aquas here.
Yes!
no, I got it. Nice.
Yeah!
Well done. GG's, he got it clear.
Wow. Wow.
Ooh.
No missed final phase of pork fillet there.
Yeah.
That's time. That's time.
That's time. Well done.
Wow, that was awesome.
That was a good run. That 204 million as well, I think.
I think so, and his score goal was 200 million, so he definitely
Yeah.
surpassed that.
Yeah, really, really well played.
Okay, guys, I'm back.
Wow.
Good stuff, dude. Good
Great,
stuff.
great run, man. That wow.
Thanks.
How you feeling right now?
Pretty got some adrenaline going, that's for sure. I had a lot of spots in that run where I was falling behind and getting nervous and making some weird dodges.
Yeah.
Definitely had a good share of mistakes in there. But actually did make a comeback multiple times, which I was quite happy about. But I got a little bit too greedy in that last milking point with the choppers, like by the mural.
Yeah, we saw that.
So I took an extra death there. Because you want to go into that last fight with 2 extra lives, like, and have some resources. But yeah, that was like as close as it can get, and I met my goal, which was 200 million, 1 CC. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
congratulations. It was a great show. Very, very fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was very nerve-wracking to play, but those little mistakes sometimes make it more fun for the audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Moochie Pork boys, Dell and NTSCJ, aka Julian Jalapeno, and also the former Japanese world record holder of the 1.01 version, H. Scud. She might still be the one. I'm not sure if it was on TSAJ or not. And shout outs to you guys, commentators as well, and everyone else for watching and donating to the charity.
And if I could give a couple shout outs to SGG Weekly, which is a web series about shoot 'em ups that Aquas actually founded, and I am an occasional part of as a co-host. You can check that out on YouTube. And also shout outs to the Shmups communities on Discord and the Shmups.System 11 forums. If you're interested in the genre at all, come check us out. We're generally a pretty friendly bunch of guys, and there's too many games and too many good people to even begin to list.
Yeah, shout outs to the Shmups community. Hopefully I'll actually get some new players to this game as well, because it's a brilliant game and I think people will enjoy it once they actually sit in and get used to it.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly fun to watch, and it's even better to play as well.
Yeah, it's an incredibly fun game once you get in the groove there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was crazy. I eventually did get in the groove, so I was happy.
Yeah, what a turnaround at the end there. That was
what a run.
That was great.
Yeah. Really exciting last boss.
Oh god. Indeed. Well, I had not much else to say, so yeah. Thanks everyone, and catch y'all around.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's hear it again for that great run. I loved that. There obviously wasn't a whole lot of time for donations because there was just so much tech going on. So let's read a few here. Neo Antoine sends $25 and says, "Let's go, Aquas. Bring home the bacon." Heaven Chai sends $5 and says, "Hey, Aquas. Glad to see you at GDQ again. Keep up the good pork." Good. I like it. Hollow Jest sends $25 and says, "Aquas, good luck on the run. First time viewer and donator. Let's kick cancer's butt and get that Oddworld run." That's right. There is that Oddworld incentive that is still up, and it's also the next run. Where are we at on that? $1,890 out of 3,000. Come on, chat. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Let's do it. Let's get some hype. I can't yell too much, so I don't want to wake anybody up. But let's get hype. Hype. Quiet hype, but intense hype. So like a really intense whisper. Hype. That kind of hype. Let's do it. Let's get it. Let's get that incentive met. The Electric Underground sends $30 and says, "Shout out to Aquas for all his contributions to the shmup genre and for being an awesome dude. Check out his channel, STG Weekly, if you want some great shmup videos. Also, shout outs to Icarus and Soft Drink for holding it down on the mic. Everyone loves Pink Sweets and Moochie Moochie too." And they put a smiley face. I like smiley face. So don't go anywhere. Keep sending in those donations for that Oddworld incentive. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back. And we are back. All right, let's come on. We're running out of time. We've got to get those donations in for that incentive. Make sure to donate towards the Oddworld incentive that we are at. Where is it? We need 3,000, and we're at 1,976 for Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. Catch DK Strader. So let's get that. Let's get those donations in. Speaking of which, Kono sends $300 and says, "Thanks GDQ for all you do to help bring us together for good causes."